Hey guys, welcome to the Essential Podcast. It's your host Stevie Hayes, and we're joined by our two co-hosts, Jonathan and Nyree Williamson. What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
What's up? What's up?
How you doing, Jay?
Good.
Good. So, this is your first time seeing us all three together. So I'm just gonna let you all know right now. So these are us. We are the faces of this podcast slash show. You'll be seeing us doing a bunch of interviews with athletes, future doctors, any type of person. We're trying to get as many guests as we can, but you will be seeing us doing just a normal podcast where we're going to talk about some things. And just to let you all know, disclaimer: we are all Christians. We all believe in Jesus. We believe that Jesus died and rose from the dead. We believe that Jesus is Lord. Period. 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 Fellas, y'all both agree, right? I'm not speaking for you. I'm speaking for you guys because I know you both. And so a lot of the cultural commentary that you might hear is going to be from a Christian perspective. So if you don't want to hear that, I will respect. You can respectfully leave and never return again. You know what I mean? We don't need you. You know what I mean? So yeah, if you don't like it, don't listen to it. If you want to debate, we would love to have you on the show. We want all the smoke, period. So that's where we're at. So today we are going to talk about music. All right, we're going to talk about the topic of music. We're going to talk about the representation of God in hip hop and in other genres. But first, I do want to just hear you guys' opinion just on secular music. Like, what is your take? What do you do when it comes to listening to music that is not about God, or if you listen to music either censored or with curse words? Like, what is your take on it? Let's just start with Nyree. So, what is your outlook on music?
Yeah, so with music, a lot of the times I listen to it in different situations. I'll listen to rap music whenever I'm working out. But my overall thought of music is that it's a cultural thing, like something that's based around what we kind of grow up and we kind of learn from a young age. Like certain music that I listen to is because my family members listen to it, this or whatever. But Um, the way I think about it is just I feel like as I'm getting older, the more and more I'm getting closer with God, the less rap music I've listened to. So I listen to a lot more worship music now than ever, like ever before. It was really hard for me too. And yeah, so
Okay, cool. How about you, Jay? How you feel about it?
That's funny. I'm kind of I don't want to say I'm the total opposite, but I was raised listening to worship music and with the idea that music is it's like it's a tool for you to that you have to be careful with what you listen to. So I was always careful with what I expose my ears to. Um, right now though, because I am a musician, I do listen to, I don't listen to secular music, but I listen to stuff that has like guitar, like John Mayer for instance, because I just want to learn. And I don't really know any like Christian guitars. So but I do agree with worship music. It's and with that theory that music is, you should be careful with what you listen to.
Yeah, yeah. So great stuff. So for me, my outlook on music is I listen to a lot of like alternative music. My wife loves a lot of country, which I'm trying to get used to. I like some artists, but for me personally, I listen to like all genres. I listen to lo-fi, I listen to techno. I love house. I'm been listening to so much house music lately. Like when I'm studying, bro, I put on house music. Like Drake's new album, House album, I've been playing that a lot lately. But I do listen to a lot of worship music as well. I feel like when I first got saved, like that's like not when I first got saved, but when I really started taking my life and spirituality serious. The album Hallelujah Here Below came out that same exact year, and I promise you I played that album till the wheels, like, bro,
Yeah,
I know every song on
fun.
that is probably their best album
Yeah.
also, but I play that album till the wheels fell off. And so now in my spiritual life, I like every morning I listen to it when I'm driving to work, and stuff like that. But surprisingly now, I listen to a lot more podcasts now. I listen to a lot. I don't really listen to music that much. I mean, other than when I'm in it, as I'm kind of the same as Nari, but when I'm in the gym trying to go hard, that's really when I'm playing music. But other than that, it's not. I mean, other than like when I'm chilling, it's
Yeah,
not as much as it was.
I have a question.
Yeah.
But you don't put worship music when you at the gym, right? You put
So, like for example, like yesterday, last night, so we have a youth group playlist where it's a bunch of Christian rap and Christian like
okay.
alternative. So I listen to that, but usually it's like Kanye 24/7, at the gym. It just depends on mood. Like sometimes I'll work out to some old school tunes as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna say that like it's interesting how music is like it depends on the mood or like on like when I'm studying, I listen to lo-fi, you know. Um, in the gym, I'm not gonna put worship music, so it's definitely like depends on like the setting that you're in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like even like I remember someone asked me, they were like, "Do you and your wife have sex to like elevation?" I'm like, "Are you crazy? No, that's kind of weird." Like no, like what I mean. There's a time and place for it, but I mean, I'm kind of. It just depends on the mood that I'm in.
Yeah, same.
Really. So one of the things that really kind of got me a little fired up this week was when I was looking at I was on obviously Kendrick Lamar dropped his album Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, which was pretty big. The album itself sold a lot. The album was super big and people loved it. Did you guys give Kendrick's album a listen?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't listen to Kendrick.
Yeah,
I,
so yeah, sorry, Nari.
no, I was saying you already know. Growing up, that's all we listened to. I was always instilled on J. Cole fan to the day I die, but it was J. Cole and Kendrick for us growing up. Steve was on more the K Dot side, but listening to Kendrick like that album was really good. I'm big on like production and instrumentals. Like the first thing I heard was like production music. Like that was hit me. And then his words, like that was a great album.
Yeah, for sure. From an artistic side, I think the album is album of the year. I mean, one of the it's a great album. I mean, there's no way you can put it, but you know, from it just seems like from like other instances or from his older albums, excuse me, it kind of seemed like Kendrick was going down the road. But yeah, it's like I was kind of thinking like with Kendrick, it was like I love Jesus, I believe in Christ, etc., etc. And like to me on this album, I just feel like there's a shift in him. Like I don't know if man just confused or if he's struggling through something, but through this whole entire album, which was as like I was watching a bunch of YouTube videos on the album, and they were saying that like this album is a beautiful mess. So like if you were to listen to the album, it's so messy, just like with the order and the tracks, and it's just a very messy album, but at the same time, like artistically, it is beautiful. And so like I kind of left the album alone for a little bit. Like the only song that I really listen to is Die Hard. That song is hard. What Nari, are there any other songs that you're like playing still from Kendrick's podcast or I mean Kendrick's album?
It was that one. It was also let me see the other song. Father Time is a very great song too.
Called?
Father Time is a very great song too. Yeah, that song.
Yeah, and so like like for me personally, like I was like, all right, cool, like it's a good album, man. I watched a lot of Ruslan. Ruslan had a lot of issues with it from just like a looking at it from if you say you're a Christian, like bro, like what's up with the stuff that you're saying, and some of the things that really has been starting to bug me is the way of the representation that he's kind of been putting on. So like the other day, rapping in a concert and he has a crown of thorns on his head with blood going down his face. And like me personally, as a believer in Jesus, I personally take offense to that. You know what I mean? Because honestly, bro, I don't care. Like the whole woman rights thing, I don't even care about that. That's not even in my full point of why I don't like it. But it's like, how can you rap about some of these things and walk around with a crown of thorns on your head trying to represent Jesus, and then you misname him as a prophet as well. But that's a topic for like another
Yeah,
day. But
that's
it's
right.
like, bro, like you're like, where are you standing? Like, is this a mockery? Then when I see the music video for I think it was 995 or whatever, you out of pocket, you know that song. You ugly, yeah. It's like he's sitting in the ocean with his arms out, like he's crucified on a cross. Things like that, bro, just really is really, and it's not just with Kendrick, it's with a lot of other rappers. It's really starting to turn me off, and it's really
Yeah.
starting to get me very like just offended and annoyed. You know what I mean?
I,
How do you?
I
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a
sorry.
question. So,
Yo,
were you listening to Kanye before, like before Save Kanye, or after?
I think Kanye was nuts as well for the same exact things
Yeah, because he
that he
did.
did. Yeah,
And
I think it's equally as nuts.
yeah,
You know what I
Let me
mean?
ask you, why do you think these artists like they is it a message that they're trying to portray, or is it like for attention, or is it like what do you think the reason like Kendrick would do something like that?
Yeah. I mean, personally, I don't know Kendrick, so I can't speak on how on what his intention is. But from the music and his interviews, I think he means well. I don't think Kendrick's a bad guy. You know, what I mean, I've listened. He's a very insightful person. I just think that he just is ignorant. I just don't think he knows, and um, you can just tell when someone has had an experience with Jesus.
Mm,
You know what I mean? When you're like there is a big difference between knowing God and experiencing God. Because you can know who God is, but not experience him. You know what I mean? And so like with and like even though Kanye has his problems, like let me not use him as an example because I don't really know him. But as I have friends that have their own problems, you can you can distinctly tell when someone has experienced him and someone that knows him with our downfalls. And I really believe that Kendrick hasn't experienced Jesus for himself.
mm.
And maybe he's into Jesus because it sells and people like love that idea that he's a Christian. I don't know. But like with knowing that you're a Christian, some of the stuff that he's doing is kind of I'm like, bro, like, you
Yeah,
know
it's borderline. Yeah.
yeah. So like it just makes me question a lot of the things. And like even and then on top of that, like like I don't even want to get to the content because that's a whole like other area, of that. But like, how do you guys feel about what do you guys' opinion on Kendrick's like representation of Christ in his performances? Like, how do you feel about that? And you don't have to agree with me at all, you know what I mean? So obviously.
well, from what he was doing with the Crown of Thorns, I thought that was just him um mocking Jesus. Like trying to portray as him being like Jesus, but like just twisting it. I don't know, but like again, like it's a trend in the music industry because he isn't the only one. So I don't know if there's somebody behind it, or it's like if there's somebody encouraging that. So, and those are my thoughts.
I feel like with artists in general, I feel like they are a big role in what the generation, a lot of people listen to, like, and they look up to these artists. My only problem, and it's something I had to let go with music, is like you start to idolize some of these artists, and that's the only thing that I am like that I don't like. And so like when you see Kendrick wearing like a thorn around his head, like some people just think like, all right, like I can start acting like that. Like, that's fine. That's where the problem comes for me, and that's why like a lot of the music I used to listen to, like I had to like stray away, and that's my only like problem with it.
Yeah, it just hits me because like you should know the influence that you're having, and if you're professing something, then you got to stand for that the right way, you know.
Yeah.
And if Kendrick wasn't a confessing believer, as other people have said that he believes in Jesus, I wouldn't be even having this conversation.
Yeah.
Because what does Paul say in Galatians? He says, yo, like it is not our God's going to judge the outsiders. We need to worry and hold accountable the people in the church, the people in our community that profess to be Christians, you know. But sorry,
Does he profess to be a Christian? Is that is
according to people that are close to him, and Ruslan, who has had conversations with him, he has professed to be a believer in Jesus Christ. But as of the
mm,
last performances, it's making me question, like, has bro changed his faith? Has have things changed? But even if you have changed your faith or not, I just really have an issue with some of these representations because, bro, if someone was to do this to another culture or religion, it would be crazy.
yeah, like if it was Muhammad or Buddha?
Yeah. Or even if you mock the LGBTQ as well, like these will be it's like these will be immediate
Yeah,
like issues. But for some reason, when it comes to a Christian talking about this, it just no one cares, and people just wallow over it. And to me, at least, bro, it feels like Christianity from a vantage point has become a business deal. Christianity has become a way for you to make money because Christians don't, because a lot of Christian people don't have a lot to hold on to in the secular world. So we cling to the closest thing to Jesus that we have. Bro, I can't tell you how many times I will play the one J. Cole song that didn't have a curse word in front of my dad. And that's because that's the only thing I would cling to. That's the only thing that I feel like my dad would. So like as a community, it's like when are we going to stop settling for the bottom barrel of of someone talking about Jesus, and when are we going to actually be honest about some of the content that is being put out and say, yo, this is kind of nuts.
but
Yo,
that's
Right.
as a believer, this is kind of crazy, and why are we supporting this? Like there has
well,
to be
the
sorry.
Bible says that our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities and the dark forces. So definitely there is somebody behind it because I do remember watching a video with Ruslan where Kendrick had a mentor and he's like teaching him about high consciousness and things like that. And obviously, that's false. That we don't believe in that new age type stuff. But I do believe that those type of teachings are plaguing the churches, and it's just perverting the gospel. And I don't know if that's like the intention of the his mentor, but like it's definitely influential. Like it's working, and with the power of music being so influential, um, yeah, it's dangerous. I mean, it's I don't really know uh like what Christians can do other than call it out and basically I guess doing what we're doing right now, just talking about it and letting more people don't listen to that or don't be influenced by that because it's false teaching.
Yeah, I'm just so past settling for art. Like, I'm done calling it art. Like, oh, this is art. Nah, bro, this is disrespectful. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I ain't trying to be mean, but like, it's like, bro, like, it comes to a point for me where it just gets super ridiculous.
Yeah, when I was a kid growing up, I was like tired of like worship music, and I wanted to like like listen to like other stuff. But that type of stuff grew onto me, and the older I got, and especially as a musician, I learned more about music and sound and vibrations and frequencies and things like that. And it's interesting because like we live in an age where like people don't take music seriously. We just sort of like diminish it and see it as a form of entertainment. But when you look at like earlier civilization, like the Greeks, they believed that music could could form a nation. Like I think it was Socrates who says, if you want to know a heart of a nation, listen to the music. And then even scientists have discovered that before language and before laws was music. Like people would sing and create music, and that created language, and language created laws, thus creating a nation. So it's like music is it's like the beginning of everything. Like when you read the Bible, like God spoke, like that's a frequency, like that's a vibration, and then everything is
Yeah.
created like like in physics, it's taught that everything is made up, atoms are made up of vibration. So the fact that music resonates with everybody, it's not a coincidence. Like it's a tool to to I think it's a tool to really uh not hypnotize, but like change somebody's thought process. Art in itself is its thought process, and if you're able to convince, or if you're able to change somebody's way of thinking, that's a very influential tool. That's one of the reasons I studied movies and directing, because like I want to be able to like do that. But
Yeah.
Right.
it's yeah, it's that's so that's why for me I'm always careful with what I listen to, what I watch, and things like that, because even though it's not in your face, like the change, like if you watch something, it's not going to change you right away, but like over time,
Yeah, that's a great point.
it's gonna start influencing you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually had 2 points
I
about
feel like,
that. Like,
yeah, go ahead.
my fault. You keep going.
I feel like people just don't really understand that, because music and art in itself is just considered as entertainment, but it's, dude, I mean, it's more powerful than politics. It's what influences. Like politics doesn't influence people. It's the music, it's the movies, it's the shows, it's all that stuff. But
Yep.
go ahead, Nairi.
No, I was saying, with music, it's like, I remember we were teaching this to our youth group. It's like what you listen to is like what you start to become in a way. That's why I'm like very mindful of what is heard or what, you know, people I know what they listen to. Um, I just know that whatever you listen to is what you start to become. And but the other side of it, and I do understand, is like I know that people listen to certain music because they can connect to it. Like they can connect to this artist because like they grew up in that same environment they did, so they listen to that. But the problem is like you get in this medium where it's like now you start to hear it, but then you want to start living like them, which isn't like which isn't some of the things you should live by. But I understand it because it's like where some people came from. Some people grew up in different environments that they had to go through, so they need to hear somebody that like that understands them. So it's like a fine line between both of it, but you gotta be careful because it's like listen to it too much, like you start to become what you listen to in a
Yeah.
way.
it's a it's a real sticky situation. It's very sticky for a lot of the artists because a set of artists are trying to make it out of here, but they're
Right.
rapping about the stuff that I mean, think about Young Thug for an example. Like they're all being held accountable for the things that they've said, but rappers rap this stuff because it's what they're going through and what they're seeing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but it's also a fear to a young kid who sees the same thing because then they say, "Oh, for me to get out, I got to do this." And so that's why I really feel like music, a lot of music, not just rap, hurts our communities, like just as people around the world more than they help in a lot of ways because a lot of people take these lyrics and see them as a way out, you know.
Yeah,
And I also believe because I do believe because that you can listen to secular music. I'm not that Christian guy. Like, oh, you can't just play, like you know um it's like prime example, right? So I used to be addicted to porn, right? I used to watch porn like all of the time, straight up addicted. And so there's a show that came out called Euphoria. I watched the first episode. I say, yeah, nah, this is too sexual. It's just not for me because
that's
I
true.
know my weaknesses. Like I'm not saying the show turned me on or nothing like that. I'm not no weirdo like that. But like I just know what I can take as a person because what I watch can affect the way I act. You know what I mean? And when we are, it's like when you're watching something, when you're listening to music, you have to know what your weaknesses are. And
Right.
for it, but it's easy for us to say before a 12-year-old. An 11-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 15-year-old who ain't, we were all 15. We're just learning our emotions at 15. You don't understand what you're going through, but
Right.
you're getting exposed to everything at once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sexual graphics, music, like you don't know what to do, so
and
it's like, yeah.
it's not just music too, like you said. It's like movies, TV shows, like even the people you're around, like you influence your family members, like the way they grow up. Like it's yeah, it can influence you a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And so kind of circling back to where we are, because I mean Kendrick isn't the focal point of this conversation. He was just like a just an
Example.
example of like, as Christians, when you profess to be a Christian and you're in media, or you're in a level of relevance, you inadvertently are speaking for Christians. Period. It doesn't matter if you think you aren't. If you mention God most of the time, a non-believer is going to look at you through the lens like they're going to look at you as, all right, that's a Christian.
But yeah, they're gonna hold you to that standard for sure.
Exactly. And so it kind of fogs the light for a lot of people as Christians who are living in this secular world as well, like us who work a 9 to 5, or we go to the gym and we do this and do that. So yeah, man, it's just it is very hard sometimes. Not sometimes, it is very hard all of the time, because there are a lot of people that are just they just don't know,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
and I honestly think, and I mean, and if we're using Kendrick as an example, as we did for this episode, I just think he's a brother who just, you know, he does, the people in his corner just aren't teaching him the right things. He just doesn't know, and it's it's a shame, not a shame, but it's
yeah.
sad. Number one, that he has that, but it's also sad that, this is the case for a lot of believers in the Hollywood spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah, artists in general, bro. They like entertainment, bro. It's like what they want out of artists and what they want performed on stage is like
Yeah.
it has to be done. They gotta perform it like this. Like it's a crazy fine line.
Yeah, Hollywood definitely have their own type of doctrine, and it definitely doesn't include Jesus in that, and whatever it is that they're,
Yeah,
teaching.
because like every talented person, including myself, who is into art heavy, we all have issues. Like I went to Cab Calloway and I saw it from my own eyes. Most of the most talented people had the craziest mental issues. Like a lot of these people are just meant, like it takes it takes a special somebody to do stuff like podcasting, or to do stuff like singing in front of thousand people, or let's even go to pastors. As me being a pastor, a lot of pastors that preach in front of thousands of people and worship people, it's something about that. It's something about them, about a photographer. It's something about that type of person, and what we need to kind of address here. And I want you guys to speak on it, because we obviously want to give an answer to the problem, right? Obviously, we just stated a problem, which is the representation of Jesus in Hollywood and in music and in TV shows is kind of diluted. How do we beat that? You know what I mean? Or how can we be the change to that?
I've always saw it as, like, how like pastors talk about spiritual warfare, like, and like for me that was always such an abstract thing, like, well, like, what is it, like, what is spiritual warfare? But like when we see things like that, I think that's what they're referring to. And so, considering that everything is psychological, because the devil isn't going to kill Christians nowadays. That's like, you know that's just not what's happening. It's not like the early Christian churches where if we profess Jesus we get killed, but instead it's more psychological. And I think the way to beat it is through psychology. I mean, if the world is trying to, depict the image of Jesus as, what Kendrick is doing, we as Christians, we have to, step it up with, I guess, the music. Get into the music industry, and see how we can influence this young generation, and help them understand what worship is, help them understand who Christ is through different tools. It doesn't have to be just music, but like through podcasts, for instance, for what we're doing. I think this is one way that it'll help the generation, just creating that awareness at least and planting the seed.
Yeah, Nari.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Jonathan. I think one of the things that someone can do, like as Christians, is if you have that platform, like to speak out, to say what kind of goes on in the back end of your entertainment, your business, your industry, like that being spoke upon can make a change. Like you plant that seed, and even having a platform like our podcast and even talking about it, like to influence. And I also think like not telling someone what they can listen to, but like kind of just speak on how your change has made an impact on your life. Like it's talking about like how I started listening to worship music. I started feeling more confident. I
Yeah,
started, that's the things that I think we need to do as Christian, like not really point out the problem, just like show
mm,
what has happened to us in our life and
yeah,
why. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree, bro. Because I mean, obviously, and as a community, we need to pray for Kendrick Lamar. I mean, we got to, because he does. Because I mean, inadvertently, if he's wearing a crown and thorns on his head, he's obviously inspired by the life of Jesus,
but he
and
wrongly, yeah. So
exactly, and whether if it's wrong or not, um just like in the words of Paul, I'm grateful that, Jesus is being shown somehow. But with that being said, there are definitely ways for us to impact. And I agree with every single to one of your points, but we also need to empower other Christian artists. And disclaimer, just because you're a Christian artist doesn't mean you have to make Christian music. Just putting that out there.
Christian music,
There's a
and
lot of Christians that make great music that isn't talking about God. Just
it's all
saying.
music. It's all music, and people just make
Exactly.
things, but it's all music.
Exactly. We don't like just because you're a Christian and you love music doesn't mean that you're obligated to do worship music if you don't want to do it. And that's totally fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But as a culture as a culture, we need to start empowering these people to do it though, because I feel like we don't do enough
right.
empowering for other people. It's like there's so many different avenues you can go, and it doesn't have to be through the worship Christian Maverick City model.
right.
Like it's like every state wants to make a Maverick City or an elevation, and you don't got to do that. You can do things from your own avenue. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, so just kind of just to close this episode, I just want to tell you guys, if you are listening, we're not telling you to not listen to Kendrick's album. We're not telling you to not, if you play whatever music you like. I'm not here to do that for
Yeah,
you, but just know that you know what your convictions are, you know what your weaknesses are, and you know what you can take. Be very wise in that, because what you consume, it will come out of you. If I listen to Trey songs all day, I'm gonna try to be very sexual with my wife. Okay, I hope it's my wife, because Trey Songz is pretty wild. If I sit and listen to, and if I watch people get shot all day, I'm going to become very violent. It's just what you watch is what you become, and science shows that, history has shown that what you consume, you will output. So just
Yeah,
be very aware and be very cautious. And this is why spiritual formation is a very important thing, because you need to sit back and figure out what is forming you. It can be either it could be your spouse, it could be an idea that is in your mind of the way you think life should be.
yeah,
A lot of people listen to music to try to give people a perception of like, oh, like I listen to hood music, or like
yeah.
I listen to country, or I listen to rock, like
I used
listen. Yeah,
it's,
sorry.
it's funny because when I was growing up, people would always judge you based off like what music you listen to.
Yeah, yeah, same here, and a lot of times, like when I keep it real. When I was alone, I played a lot of Glee. Glee is one of my favorite shows. Because I'm a musical guy. But then when my friends got in the car, I play hood music. Yeah, I'll play like Ludfo or whoever, you know what I mean, to make it seem like I'm hard. And it's like, bro, it's not me. Now I'm more of like a laney guy. But anyway, it's top for another day. But yeah, so I mean, and you guys all can speak from experience if if like you want to, but be cautious, bro. Because I'm gonna keep saying this: what you consume, you will become.
It's
Yeah.
interesting. I just want to add one other
No,
thing.
go ahead, go ahead. We still got
It's
time.
it's interesting why like God in the Bible he always says, "Listen to my word," or like read my word or study my word, because what you feed yourself with, you become it. So you become more
Right.
like God when you read His word,
Consumer's
when you
word.
digest,
Yeah.
because that principle it's true, regardless if you believe it or not. That's up to you, but like it's true. Whatever you feed yourself, you're gonna become it. So if you read God's word as He commands in the Bible, you're gonna be more like God, and you're gonna reflect that more.
Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
and think about the way Christ moved, right? Every time after Christ did something, he and had not ran away, but he went away and had quiet time with the Father. Silence and solitude is a big priority in your formation, in who you are becoming, and spending time alone with Jesus is a big part of our consumption just as people. So, we really have to be aware of that. So, now, Reed, do you have any remarks, any closing statements, or
I just want to say whatever you want to listen to, as Steve said, it's what you want to hear, like you want to listen to, but just be mindful again, like just the point again is just be mindful of what you listen to. And just know that like you are not what you listen to. Like you are more than what you listen to or what someone's going through. You can relate to it. Like I said, again, I listen to whatever I need to get me hype or whatever. But at the end of the day, like I know the truth. I know what I need to go back to and to feel like myself. And that's what Jonathan said. Go back to the word, feed myself what I actually am and what I've learned and believe, not what somebody else says. And that's it. Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of things that we can relate to, but just because we relate to it doesn't mean we have to listen to it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And for a lot of people, this is a hard concept, and I feel like there's something that I'm dealing with as well. There's some stuff that I some music that I really enjoy that I shouldn't enjoy. Because but as Christians, we got to try to work to be better, and to be better is to feed ourselves with God's word and spending time with them and formation and reading books, and just
Yeah.
following a really disciplined life. So thank you
Yeah.
guys so much for watching, man. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please like and subscribe, and show us some love. So we hope you have a wonderful day. Peace out.